introduce Catherine Roosevelt Ingberg. She's my mom's mom and my grandma. She's 86 years old and lives in Santa Barbara, California. She married my grandpa at age 19 and worked as a copy editor at the Sun-Times in Chicago. When she was in her 50s, she rode her bike to work. She raised 4 children and has 12 grandchildren. She loves spending her time with her family and walking with her friends. She eats jam for 2 meals a day. She loves it when her grandchildren send her postcards from around the world. Okay, what does faith in a higher power mean to you?
Well, faith is to believe in something that may not necessarily be solid, something that you can weigh and touch. And faith is something you have to believe and act according to that belief.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it means after human life, there is further life.
The next question, why do you think it is important for people to have a religion or faith life?
If they don't believe in an afterlife, they don't have that faith. What will guide their activity, their belief in human life? Would they believe in the commandments,
Mm-hmm.
or would they, if it was inconvenient for someone who did not have faith to do something especially nice, as it were, pay a higher tax that taxes say that might be able to help people who need some kind of medical help. That's what I would think.
What was the most significant event of your faith life and why?
Oh, it's interesting because I'm very old. I've been around for a long time. I suppose going to parochial school was because there I learned more about what faith meant and what would be the good things to do
Mm-hmm.
to put it into effect.
Where did you go to school?
Where?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I went to the parish elementary school. Then I went to a girls' parochial high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started in college, but I had to drop out after I think it was a year or two when I became engaged and wanted to get married at about that time. And I was told by the president of the college that they did not allow married students. It was that changed, I'm sure, very quickly after
Mm-hmm.
that. But so at that point, I dropped out because I was, when I got married.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next question is, what do you wish someone would have told you about life when you were my age?
Well, I don't know what they could have told me about life at that age, except introduce you to certain good habits.
Mm-hmm.
And you start off with the commandments, a number of which you wouldn't have occasion at that young age to really need, because they would be, say, adult habits.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of habits?
Well, you had the habit of going to church, say, on Sunday, or the habit of practicing certain sacraments, of going to confession, or even doing some good service to someone of your classmates who might, need to have would like to have a companion to walk to school with or to do homework with, or something like that.
So you wish somebody had told you about that when you were younger?
Well, I didn't need to know it because I grew up in a house which had several teachers. My oldest brother was a teacher. And then one time, I can't remember, it must have been in high school, maybe it was earlier than that. He was in teacher's college, and he asked to be allowed to sit in the classroom, and they assigned him to my classroom. And that was kind of special for me, you know, to have my brother sit in class.
Mhm. Did you always go to church when you were younger?
Did I what?
Always go to church when you were younger, Mass on
Oh,
Sunday?
yes. Oh,
Every
yes.
every Sunday?
Yes, it was a habit.
Mhm.
And especially when you're in parochial school, even on Sunday, we had a certain Mass. We would go to the 9 o'clock Mass, and you'd be in line, and you would, you know, it wasn't until probably around now where students go with their families. But by then, if you were a student in our parochial school, you went with the school. You went to the 9 o'clock Mass.
Mhm. Wow.
Why is it a good habit?
Why is it a good habit? Well, because anything you do routinely, you can learn whether it's a good thing for you to do or a possible thing for you to do. And you wouldn't do it frequently if it turned out not to be safe. You couldn't get to church on Sunday without your father driving you because it was so far. Well, if he was working on Sundays and there was no one else in the house that knew how to drive, you probably couldn't get to church every Sunday.
But why is going to church not a good habit on Sunday?
Well, because that's mostly when people go once a week. Most people couldn't go, especially if they're working and have a job they have to be to, and they couldn't get to Mass 7 days a week.
Right.
That would be very difficult. And it would take a lot of time, and most young people wouldn't, or even with jobs, wouldn't give over that much time.
Yeah.
What does the church require? What does the church ask?
The church asks that you go on holy days of obligation. Holy days of obligation mean this holy day you are obliged to do whatever the day.
And is Sunday a day of obligation?
It certainly is. Yep, Sunday is, and as a matter of fact, this year on Christmas, it was Christmas Day was a holy day of obligation, and then what was it? 2 days later was Sunday, and that was a holy day of obligation. So you were to go both of those days. Go into one a week didn't work at that point.
Okay. What words of wisdom would you like to share with me today?
Wisdom.
Mhm.
Wisdom is a pretty hard thing. It takes time and effort to become wise or to do what is wise. Well, I think forming the habit of going to church on holy days so that you just plan for it, and it's not a difficult thing if you know what you're supposed to, what the obligation is and what the time is, and if you can do it, because it's something in your family you can do. So that's what I think.
Are those the only words of wisdom, that you should go to church on Sunday?
No, I'm sure there's much more. Wisdom takes a long time to get to. So you start out with certain habits that develop, and as you get older, you know whether you can modify those habits to something that would, or how it would be more convenient for you. But you couldn't just say, well, I can't do that because it's not convenient. So sometimes doing the right thing can be difficult or inconvenient.
Was to do.
Yeah, oh yes, when something is important, you do it, no matter how inconvenient, and that's when you just have to set up the time and look at what your obligation is and what your timing is.
Okay.
And because the girls' schools I went to were religious schools, you learned some of the I learned habits of my faith or the church that I believed in.
Mhm.
Why a girls' school, Mom?
Well, I just always got the impression that there was so much competition among girls and boys in, what do you call it, not bilingual, yeah,
In co-ed?
co-ed schools, yeah, especially, and I could see that, boy, I could see that even in my lower grades. And with four brothers, I really didn't need the competition.
You had enough of it.
They did fine enough. So that was it.